Good afternoon, students. This side your facilitator Ravina Khan, and today I'm here with the topic A Poison Tree from the literature of class 7. Now, talking about this poem, that A Poison Tree is a poem by English poet and name William Blake, and it was first published in his Song of Experience in 1794, and in deceptively simple language with an almost nursery rhyme quality. And the speaker of the poem details two different approaches to anger. In the first, openly talking about anger and is presented as a way of moving past it. Now, in the second, the speaker outlines the danger of keeping anger within, and the poem uses an extended metaphor to describe the speaker's anger as growing into a tree that bears poisonous apples. The speaker's enemy then eats an apple from the trees and dies. And the poem is generally interpreted as an allegory for the danger of bottling up emotions and how doing so leads to a cycle of negativity and even violence also. So now, talking about the summary of A Poison Tree, here the speaker recounts being mad at a friend, and the speaker told their friend about this anger, which subsequently went away. And by contrast, when the speaker was angry with an enemy, the speaker kept quiet. Their anger then increased. Now, here the speaker cultivated this anger as if it were something planted in a garden, or metaphorically nourishing it with tears and fears. Now, both day and night. Now, here the speaker's smile and other gentle deceptions used to hide the anger. And now, in fact, only fade the anger further. Now, here the anger grew constantly until it became a tree which bore a bright apple. And the speaker's enemy saw this apple shining and knew it belonged to the speaker. Here the enemy snuck into the speaker's garden during the dead of night. And the next morning, the speaker is happy to see this enemy lying dead beneath the tree. Talking about the themes of the poem, then the theme of the poem means in A Poison Tree. Here the speaker presents a powerful argument against the suppression of anger, and by clearly laying out the benefits of talking about anger and the consequences of keeping negative emotions within, the poem implies to the reader that the suppression of anger is morally dangerous and leading only to more anger or even violence. Now, talking about the speaker present two distinct scenarios, and it was done to illustrate the danger of suppressing anger also. And in the first two lines of the poem, the speaker describes admitting his or her wrath to a friend. As soon as the speaker does so, this wrath ends. Honesty and frankness, the speaker makes clear cause anger to disappear. By contrast, as described in lines 2 through line 16 of the poem details the negative consequences of suppressed anger. And in this line, the speaker does not open up about being angry, and instead, the speaker activity tends to his or her wrath as if it were a garden, watering it with fears and tears and sunning it with smiles and cunning deceit in a way that indicates a kind of morbid pleasure. Now, the speaker's carefully cultivation of this rage garden implies an inability to move on from whatever made the speaker angry in the first place, and as well as the self-perpetuating nature of negative emotions. Anger encourages fear, despair, like which in turn simply nourish more anger. and the suppression of emotion thus begins a cycle of festering negativity that eventually takes on life of its own. Now, through the growth of the tree and its poisonous apple, the repressions of anger is shown to cause a chain reaction that makes the problem far worse than it would have been had the speaker and the foe just talked through their issues. And the poisonous growth contrasts with the simply way in which the anger was eliminated in the first scenario. When it was told through this contrast, the poem makes clear a moral choice: either talk and find solutions, or keep quiet and enable the far reaching, poisonous effects that come when people hold their angry emotions too close to the chest. And implied in the poem, then, is the idea that the root of human conflict grows from the inability to find common ground through meaningful communication. The fact that at the end of the poem the speaker is glad to find the enemy lying dead beneath the tree shows the way in which, in the second scenario, the anger increasingly dominates the way the speaker sees other human beings. And in the second scenario, the anger increasingly dominates the way the speaker sees other human beings. And the speaker becomes a host for the growth of anger, which which feeds on others' pain. The poem then suggests and warns against the fact that anger is an all-consuming emotion when allowed to grow unchecked. Now, if we talk about the first line, that I was angry with my friend, I told my wrath did end. Here, the first two lines presents the poem's first of the two distinct scenarios. And here the speaker relates what happened when the speaker talked about anger that he or she was feeling toward a friend. Talking about the anger made it go away. The straightforward simplicity of this line suggests the ease with which the anger disappeared, and thus present being open and honest as an extremely effective antidote to wrath. And of course, in this scenario, the speaker's anger is directed towards a friend, someone with whom the speaker is familiar and already likes. This praise the question of whether friendship is a prerequisite for open communications, whether the speaker was able to discuss his or her problem, and in doing so end it only because the speaker was approaching a friend. However, the use of friend here is likely a broader reflections of the stark division between the two ways of approaching not just anger but other people more generally. Friendship, kinship, and common ground facilitate talking, which diminishes conflict. And this in turn cements the positive relationship between people, or we can say in other words, the very act of the speaker revealing his or her anger can be seen as making the other person a friend. And again, the shortness of this scenario reflects the simplicity of this idea. And this part of the poem is effectively over by the end of line 2, formally reflecting means the way in which the speaker's anger itself was quickly brought to an end. And because the anger disappears, there is no opportunity for it to grow into the poisonous tree that comes means what to say about that. I mean to say that it comes about in the second scenario. And given that the reader already knows from the title of the poem that there is a poison tree to come, and there is a sense that these two lines present the innocent and unspoiled state of humankind, and humanities beginning before the biblical fall of man. This is an idealized state of being, and the way the speaker implies humankind should be, but it is not the same. that they had said. And the simplicity of these two lines is also sonically satisfied to the reader with the perfect rhyme of friend and end. And the end stop at line 2, making it feel as though the poem could almost end right here. The meter which shifts from trochees in line 1, 2, or you can say in 3 and 4, also simplicity with the final stress on end, again suggesting how easy it would be for people to resolve or end their issues if only they spoke up about their feelings. If you see here the line, I was angry with my friend, I told my wrath did end. So, what does it mean? So, first of all, we must know that the except, of course, this is a poem of experience, not idealism. Okay, and the shortness of this first scenario and the fact that it is followed by other 14 lines implies that the word in actually is patently not like this first scenario, and accordingly the reader knows that the poem must move away from its peaceful beginning. So students, time to go. This was the part 1 of the poem, and the next video of part 2 I will send you in the next day. Till then, stay safe and stay home.